Hello, hello, Power Sisters. Dr. Anita here. I am the founder and CEO of Power Her Success Alliance, where we work towards helping every woman step into her power. And then we, as sisters, coming together and supporting each other as we step into our power collectively to make a big difference in our family, our community, and the world. I am beyond excited to share with you our new book that's being released. Is called Power Her Success, because that's what we believe in, helping you be in your power. And I get the opportunity to introduce you to amazing authors who are part of this book, who are part of my community, who are in my life. And together we are coming together to help you become the woman you were designed to be. So joining me today is Christine Franklyn, all the way in Barbados. Am I right? Because I keep saying
That's right.
Okay, I got it right this time. Like, where are you? She's in Barbados, joining us right now so that we can have an amazing conversation on what does it mean for you as a woman to hit your stride and be free. Let me say it right. Finding freedom after 40. Okay, now I know many of us are after that 40 years of age, and sometimes we get so caught up in the busyness of life that we're needing to find how to be free mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So Christine, thank you for being an amazing expert in our book, and we're looking forward to just hearing from you.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
This is awesome. So let's start off by asking you a couple of questions, and then we'll have you talk about your chapter in the book. So how would you describe power? What does power mean?
Power as your internal force. It's not about what you leverage over others, nothing that you lord over others and you use just to your own benefit, but it's all about tapping into what is innately within you. And within that, you'll find self-confidence, you'll find the power, the assurance to be unapologetic. I absolutely believe in that.
That's my word.
And to be comfortable in your own skin. And for me, that's powerful. It's powerful to see a woman who's not defined by others, who defines herself. For me, that's power.
So, we as women, especially women of color, we have been put under this belief system, these ideals, these expectations that we can't be powerful because we are too boisterous, we're too loud, we're too whatever. So for us as Black women coming to you saying, we really understand power from a very different perspective, and we want to help as many women around the world tap into that. So tell me from your perspective, why is it important for a woman to own her power?
So I'll first tell you how I have lived exactly what you're talking about, because as you said, I'm in Barbados. I'm born and bred in Barbados, but I've also lived in Canada, I've lived in Boston, I've lived in London. And I've gone from the experience of being in a place where I am surrounded by other people who look like me, where 95% of the population looks like me.
Yes.
And yes, there are issues. They're mostly class issues more than race issues. But going to other countries where I was now in a minority was a totally different experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was mind-blowing, eye-opening, all of the above.
This still exists in the 20th century. Really?
Yes.
I'm a little confused.
So I noticed that some of the things I used to take for granted can't necessarily be taken for granted in other places. So I really felt that difference. I really felt that sense of, oh my gosh, I actually have to be aware of how I'm being perceived. And I feel like I need to step outside of my normal self to look at myself as others might be seeing me, or to be prepared for what others might be expecting from me and then reacting accordingly and all of that.
Right.
And I think that makes you feel small.
Yes.
Automatically, without even consciously processing it, it starts to shrink you. And I could feel the difference. I could feel where I was comfortable in Barbados. I felt so expansive. I felt like anything was possible. And then I'd go to these other places and it felt like all eyes were on others and I was fading into the background, that I have to be center stage, but I just felt like on merit, I'm doing the same things. I'm equally worth whatever it is.
Yeah.
Why am I in the background?
And
Should I stand up for myself?
that's so powerful, because I think on so many levels, many of us as women, whether we are Black or Mexican or Latina or Asian, or even our white sisters, there's experiences and in certain circumstances that kind of make us pull back, not even intentionally wanting to pull back, because we understand that we need to come forward for such a time as this. We need to actually show up in our power, but yet there's still that need to protect ourselves, or that fear that we're not good enough, or that belief system of something's not right that causes us to shrink and play small, rather than actually going, oh wait, let me step up and actually show up in a much bigger way. It's so funny that we're having this conversation, not funny, haha, but such a timely conversation, because I recognize that this year, 2022, has been the time where I've said, no more. I'm showing, and I've always shown up anyways. I've always shown up in a big, bold way, but I can also see that sometimes you can be hiding in plain sight.
Oh,
You can
yes.
be very visible and still not seen at all.
Mm-hmm. So true.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's a really common struggle, I think, for a lot of women of color or for women in general, because I think society is still geared towards women taking a back seat.
yes,
As much progress as we've made, I still believe that's the way it's seen without people actually consciously realizing it.
yeah,
That's the expectation.
absolutely.
So to be able to stand in your own power, which is something that I learned definitely after I would say my mid 30s,
I think we all covered
definitely.
after that time.
Yeah, I'm definitely after 40. I'm 45 now. And I can tell you there's some things that I absolutely will not put up with anymore.
I know that's right. I'm
Yes,
in my 50s, and like I shock myself that I have to say it, like I don't feel like I'm in my 50s. But
I know.
promise you, every time you go through your own quarter or your own, what is it not a century? What is it?
Decade?
Decade. Thank you. That's the word. I was like, what's the word? Every decade you go through, that confidence gets struck. Now it's like, I wish somebody would say something to me at this point. I wish you
Yeah.
would tell me I can't do something because of whatever. So as you get to your 40s and your 30s, or your 30s, your 40s, your 50s and 60s, it all changes. It's all great. So let me ask you this. Let's kind of add on this other layer to this conversation. What are the benefits of a woman owning her power? And then let's start talking about your chapter.
Well, I'm all about finding your purpose and living your purpose. And I believe that it's very difficult to truly step into your purpose if you haven't tapped into your own power.
Yes.
And that's something that I've learned along the way, how to stand in my power and how that then propels me to really make a difference and to really make an impact. I would never have thought about all of this before becoming an entrepreneur, I think. I used to be a stressed out marketing manager, and that was one big turning point for me when I realized I can't continue like this. I need
Yeah.
to make a change somehow. So that's when I started to say no. And I think that was the beginning of my journey.
Yes.
And after that, it just kept building on it. And I realized, oh, there's something else in there that I can stand up for. There's this extra dose
Yes.
of power that can push me forward when I feel like holding back and when I feel like, oh no, I shouldn't try this. I shouldn't do this. There's this extra something that you can tap into. And I'm so thankful that I discovered that along the way, because that is power. And
Yes.
that's what will really help you to fulfill the purpose that you're here for.
So let's talk about this a little bit, because with everything that has gone on with the pandemic around the world, I feel that so many individuals, men and women, because I just had a fantastic meeting with men because we're going a part of the alliance, we're going to be launching a men's division called the Leading Man Institute. And as I'm having these conversations with these key men around the world, trying to make a really powerful decision on how do we help men and women step into their power, what's been very fascinating is how do we really make the decision. You can hear my phone in the background. This is the journey of an entrepreneur. Like, oh yeah, I need to turn that off. Well, thank goodness we can keep moving forward. So one of the questions is, I think more and more people are struggling with really defining their purpose now. Everything has turned everything upside down. And so now we're in this new mindset of what is my purpose if what I've been doing before, what I've been told I was supposed to do before is no longer working. It's no longer fulfilling. It's no longer supporting me as a person and how I want to have a relationship with my family, my community, and even in this world. So how do you define purpose? How do you find purpose?
Well, first of all, it's wonderful that people are asking these questions. It's amazing that something has happened that we wouldn't want to have happened, but the silver lining is that it has forced pretty much everyone to question so many things that we used to take for granted. And that questioning is the first place to start. That's, I think, the beginning of finding your purpose, because you need to be a bit curious and re-examine the things that you used to think were just normal life, so-called normal life. And once you do that as your first step, that questioning will bring up a few things. And usually within that, I find it's a case of, oh, well, this doesn't feel right for me. Because suddenly we're checking in. Checking in is something that has not been a part of modern society until the pandemic, really. A few people have been doing it and talking about it, but we are generally in a society that's built for distraction and disconnection. So finally, people are tuning in. And with that questioning, you start to feel what's right for you. And feeling it is the most powerful thing you can ever do.
That's right. That's right. There's so much power in our intuition. There's so much power in acknowledging our emotions. There's so much power in being able to say, this feels really true, or this doesn't feel really true for me. And then once I make that decision on what is true or what isn't true, hopefully you'll be able to do both. Then you can make the next decision. You can reach that conclusion on what to do in moving your life forward. I love it.
Yes, exactly. And that's it. Your purpose is right there in front of you. It'll just unfold. It's just that matter of tapping in. It's not out there. It's about tapping into what's already inside of you to find it.
And you may have to do it repeatedly. You may have to continue to ask yourself that question. Does this feel in alignment? Does this not feel in alignment? Maybe it felt in alignment years ago, but now I'm I'm more mature. I've gone through some life experiences. I have a different awareness. I've changed some of my value systems. So now I have to tap in at a different level. And that's the most beautiful thing, is that's what shifted my life, and especially shifted my business, is I tapped into something different and said, no, this is no longer working. It has served its purpose. It has run its course. I can now lay it to rest peacefully and then go on, like what you said, this new discovery of being able to ask myself some new questions to find out what's next. All right, so let's go a little deeper and start talking about your chapter. So again, your chapter is Hitting Your Stride, Finding Freedom. I love that word, because I want to talk about that after 40. So define freedom. Why is freedom so crucial to someone's well-being and their power?
Well, I start by thinking about the opposite. What if you don't have freedom? How does it feel?
Ooh, that's good.
That is a powerful motivator, because typically we think, oh, I'd love to have financial freedom. I'd love to have time freedom. I'd like to be free to say what I want to say and do what I want to do. But it all sounds like a pie in the sky idea. But let's think about the opposite. So what if I don't feel free? What does that feel like? That typically feels like feeling miserable, feeling like you're not heard, feeling like you're never expressing yourself.
Right.
That's an awful feeling.
Yes.
How about moving away from that? towards something that feels a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I find that it's much easier to think of it that way than thinking of it in an abstract way. So how do we
Okay.
want our
Okay.
days to feel? It's very practical. How
Now,
do you feel when you wake up? How do you want to feel when you're moving through your day? What's that look like for you?
now you talk about two types of freedoms in your chapter. Tell us what those two types of freedoms are, and maybe give, because under each section, she gives several steps that you can take to implement to actually help you move towards freedom after 40. So I don't want you to give it all away. They have to buy the book because our book is coming out on September 27th. You have to get this book. But I want you to share the two types of freedoms and maybe give one key point for each one.
Okay. So there's the freedom to be yourself. So I mentioned being unapologetic earlier, and that's a big part of it. So having that freedom to know that you are expressing your true self. You're not hiding behind what's expected. You're not just trying to agree with everyone because it's easy and it feels convenient at the time, but then you go home and you think, oh, why didn't I
Why
say
did I say
something?
that? Right?
And that continues to play on your mind. So it's all about going back to who you really are deep down and expressing that freely without restriction, without hurting anyone. We're not talking about being hurtful or mean, but we're talking about just representing yourself, standing up for yourself. And I think that is absolutely essential. I can't imagine living life any other way. So that's one. And then the other one is being free to find, again, it's linked to purpose, being free to find that purpose and go after it. So if
Yes.
you know that there is something that you feel called to do, that you're meant to do, and this is pulling at you, nudging at you, it'll tell you for sure, as long as you're paying attention. So
That's the key.
key
Are
is
you
to
paying
listen.
attention?
So the key is to make sure you really listen and figure out what signals you're getting, what is really resonating with you, and what's tugging at your heart. And within that, you'll find the freedom that you've never had before, another kind of freedom. Even if you have some, you'll find the kind of freedom that you haven't had before because you're now stepping into what was meant to be.
So what I love about this conversation that I think Christine is giving to each and every one of us is the opportunity to actually give ourselves permission to be all of who we want to be and to be free to be who we want to be based on our own terms. That's what unapologetic means. It's like, I'm no longer going to require my family, my friends, or the world to tell me if I have value, to tell me if I have purpose, to tell me if I can do something or I can't do something, or if I can show up one way or show up a different way. You're now being given permission by Christine and by myself. Be you, boo. Be you. We want you to be free so holistically that you actually start to magnetize a higher level of success in every area of your life and in your business. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes,
Yeah,
completely. Yeah,
yeah.
we all want that.
We all want this for you. And so
Yeah.
when you get this book, when you buy this book, you're going to receive messages from all of our experts who are going to really tell you exactly what you can do to support yourself in claiming your freedom, in claiming your power, in claiming your truth and purpose that Christine has talked about throughout this whole entire conversation, so that you can continue to make 2023, can you believe it's right around the corner, a powerful year for yourself, because you now realize and own that this is your spiritual divine truth, to be a woman in her power, to be a woman who's free, to be a woman who's living her highest purpose so that she can make an impact in her family, her community, and the world. Christine, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule all the way out in Barbados and joining me here online so we can have a phenomenal conversation about everything that you do to support people. So if people want to connect to you, how do they do that? And tell them about the free gift you have for them in the book.
Oh, sure. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Christine Franklyn whose surname ends in Lyn. So I'm easy to find, but more importantly, grab that free gift. So it is found at iamhealthywealthy.com/energy. So you can easily pick up.
healthywealthy.com/energy, and we'll
Yes.
have the link below. It's already in the book, so you'll be able to copy it and then go straight to it. If you have the digital version, you'll be able to click on it and get to that free gift. So thank you, Christine. I so appreciate you. Thank you for watching this. Share what your thoughts are. What do you take away from this particular session with Christine? And let us know how you're going to step into your power as a powerful woman. We love you, we believe in you, and we look forward to connecting to you very, very soon. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.